Stone pine forests are profoundly peaceful places, but they would never even exist were it not for a manically active creature. The spotted nutcracker. It's obsessed with stone pine nuts to the exclusion of almost anything else. It can eat so many that it was feared for a long time that the trees would be forced into extinction. But precisely the opposite proved to be true, and that's because this bird has an ability that is unique in the animal world. The story of the spotted nutcracker and the stone pine forest begins in summer. The spotted nutcracker is a hard worker. During the summer months, it gathers around 100,000 stone pine nuts, transporting the pine cones to one special spot to hack them out of the cones. Like Scrooge McDuck with his money, the spotted nutcracker thinks only about its pine nuts. It's a wonder that it can find any time at all for life's trivia, like eating or breeding. The spotted nutcracker sets up around 10,000 stashes of nuts and will find almost all of them again in winter. A few of its stores do go undiscovered, however, and those nuts germinate the following spring. The saplings protect each other against chill winds, excess rain, or from being eaten. With any luck, one of them will grow to be a proud, 1,000-year-old stone pine tree. If the spotted nutcracker didn't exist, these seeds wouldn't get taken up the mountain. The stone pine would only germinate down the valleys where they cannot thrive. Without the birds, these trees would long have vanished from the earth, including the magical forest of God Tamangur. Below the forest, the river Glemgia winds through the valley. The water ousel seems to be the only creature here that isn't hibernating. But it's living proof that the river itself is actually brimming with life. It's constantly diving to take its prey, especially insect larvae, and it's a very successful hunter. Not many know the water ousel, although it's very widespread. Once noticed, they seem to turn up everywhere. As the vegetation indicates, conditions are much harsher in the higher mountain regions. Stone pines do grow at up to 2,800 meters above sea level, very high indeed, but they actually thrive best at below 2,000 meters. Above that, living conditions are too tough, even for the resilient Swiss stone pine. Very cold winters will drive animals that actually prefer a high mountain habitat down into the lower regions. The chamois can find food more easily here, and it's more plentiful than up in the mountain. But the dry grass is not very nutritious. To get enough nourishment, the animals have to eat almost all day long. But the fodder isn't free. The price is interference by human beings. Skiers and snowboarders are the reason why not all the chamois head down into the valleys when food rations become scarce. Several herds prefer to stay further up the mountain, where there are no human beings, but where life is tougher and more challenging. Unlike the ibex, they don't sun themselves, preferring to stay in the shade. Now, in January, it's closed season, so the chamois have no need to fear hunters. Not the ones with guns, at any rate. For the lynx, it's open season on chamois all year round. And golden eagles are especially fond of chamois kids. But sometimes the greatest hazard for chamois is neither man nor animal. All year round, avalanches and landslides pose a tremendous danger for chamois. Snow avalanches in winter, and rock and boulder slides the rest of the year. Bigger animals than these chamois or even the ibex may be regularly spotted in the Swiss mountains. One just has to be observant. However, some animals spend their lives in secrecy. Even the hardiest hikers never encounter them. It's as if they simply weren't there. And yet, every year, there are more of them. Since the mid-90s, it's been back in Switzerland. Canis lupus, the bane of Little Red Riding Hood, the fairy tale monster. The big, bad wolf. Anyone following the acrimonious discussion about the wolf might assume that there were hundreds of them roaming about Switzerland, and yet there are only around 30 in 3 packs. Some of the alleged wolves that have been spotted have in fact been dogs. Even wolf researchers hardly ever get to see the object of their research programs. Anyone wanting to study wolves' behaviour or film them has to rely on an animal park. Those who try researching them in the wild generally end up examining what they've left behind. Should the Swiss wilderness be home to Europe's biggest predator? The question prompts fierce debate and is almost as old as Switzerland itself. And it's not only conducted verbally, but with shotguns. Wolves are constantly being shot by faceless poachers. Many experts believe that fear of wolves is unwarranted, that the only dangerous wolves are found in children's fairy tales. Across the expanse of the Swiss Alps, there's actually enough room for 150 wolves, not just 30. Others say that wolves are dangerous to both man and beast, and that they have no business in such a densely populated country at all. Now, Gemütlichkeit or conviviality and comfort settles on the towns and villages. The livestock spend the cold season in pleasantly warm stalls, well stocked with feed. The long nights and low temperatures in winter also cause problems for the wolves. Their prey is hard to catch in the deep snow. Winter is a time of hunger and privation for the alleged monster. The valleys, however, seem like a land of milk and honey. So, in extreme winters, some wolves make their way down into the valleys. They're not welcome, though. Any wolf that approaches a settlement should beware of shotguns. If the pack living in the Kalanda range gets too close to town, a young wolf is meant to be shot to scare them off. But the Kalanda wolves are as invisible as if cloaked by magic. Can one protect livestock from wolves, especially in summer? Or are they all helplessly at the wolves' mercy? There is actually something that keeps wolves away from the herds when they're outside, and it lives right in the midst of the herd. Herd guard dogs. More and more shepherds, goat herds, and cattle herders rely on them. It seems somewhat paradoxical at first glance that the very creature that protects herds from being attacked by wolves is the wolf's close cousin. But these animals are famous for their unconditional loyalty and protective instincts, and so many guard dogs are born among the sheep or cows. The puppies are raised with their charges, the animals they will be protecting, so there's not the slightest doubt in their minds that they are part of the herd, and they will protect their herd at all costs. Herd guard dogs are not sheepdogs. They don't know how to gather and run a herd. That's a job for specialists like the Border Collie. Herd guard dogs learn another skill: to protect their herd independently and without human intervention, as well as chase off predators. The dogs might sometimes mistake an innocent hiker for a predator. In that case, the clever hiker is well advised to beat a hasty retreat. Wolves that rarely attack domestic animals are persecuted by humans less often, so herd guard dogs are simultaneously wolf pack protection dogs. Winter is the quiet time of year. Supposedly, it's just silently falling snow and peaceful, still lakes. But that's not true all the time or everywhere. Every year, 13,000 cross-country skiers turn the upper Engadine Valley near St. Moritz into sporting pandemonium. For a couple of days, peace and quiet take a back seat. An unusual feature of the Engadine skiing marathon, the course crosses two frozen lakes, Lake Sils and Lake Silvaplana. "40 centimeters below the skiers, the commotion above can't even be heard. Under the ice, the lake is quiet and still. The fish have disappeared to hibernate in the deepest waters. Even the plants seem to languish in the dim light that penetrates the ice shield. It seems as if all of nature is holding its breath, waiting for spring to arrive. But spring takes its time here. frost, ice and snow still have the upper hand. Yet the middle of winter is the hottest season for the ibex. They're in rut. It's a busy time for the bucks. They pursue the females tirelessly. Using their tongues and the Jacobson's organ in their nasal chamber, the ibex bucks scan the female's scent for pheromones. And some of them discover the hard way that if the back end doesn't smell right, there's likely to be trouble from the front end. All the bucks in the area are now following the scent of nature. The bewitching aroma of the ladies has a magical attraction for them. Even those who haven't a chance of actually mating, being too far down in the herd's ranks. A ticklish situation for the female that isn't yet ready to mate. The eager bucks corner the female. They're obeying the call of nature, and it's telling them to be more insistent. Passing on their genetic material to the next generation is the bucks' highest priority. All the pestering by her love-stricken suitors is getting more and more unpleasant. She senses that the cave isn't going to offer her protection for much longer. Finally, she's had enough and makes a dash for it. But she can't shake off her admirers. The chase ends in tragedy for the female. Hours later, she is spotted injured with a split hoof. She will only survive this harsh winter if it comes to an end soon. And indeed, spring arrives one day in full force. The alpine snowbell is an early harbinger. It starts blossoming under the snow and rings in the spring from there. And with the melting of the snow and ice, everything else follows. Soldiers report for duty, workers start spring cleaning, and the queen busies herself with breeding. The animals have long forgotten winter. They've forgotten the months of privation, hardship and torpor. Forgotten too are those that have fallen victim to the cold. If only it weren't for this wretched winter coat, it's still itchy. The female chamois and their kids now form herds of up to 30 animals. The males are loners and stay away from the herds. It seems that in spring, some chamois have a luxury problem. they're too warm. The experienced mothers now want to head for the highlands, where they don't perspire as much, and where food has started to grow in abundance. But sheer high spirits put paid to that idea for a while. The higher the altitude, the longer the wait for spring and warmth to arrive. The higher regions are still covered in deep snow. Winter seems to want to retain its stranglehold, despite blue skies and sunshine. But for some hibernators, it's high time for them to wake up. The marmot's summer is so short, they're constantly in a hurry. Some of the males will even mate with females while they're still sleeping. Depending on the summer, they have just 12 weeks to work their way through the marmot to-do list. There's hardly any time for lengthy relaxation or sunbathing sessions. Whatever happens now, in nature, everything is oriented towards preparing for the next, possibly lethal winter. Summer is spent gathering stores, eating to set up protective layers of fat, breeding the next generation, in short, guaranteeing the future. Because winter in Graubünden can be deadly, while still being strikingly beautiful.
Scaccian l'ombriva, sil clair, tut go